Welcome to VUC 2019, Visions Under Construction. Okay, I'm a little lost because I can't promote Kamailio World because it already happened. But we do have a couple of people that we met at Kamailio World. This is a VUC 752, no joke, folks, for May 17th. And I think it's 2019 still, but I'm still writing 2018 on my checks. Well, who writes checks these days, right? Anyway, we have our guests, and I'm going to ask them to unmute and introduce themselves so that we have the perfect pronunciation of their names and the company that they work for.
Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm Ala Rahimi.
I'm Daniel Donoghue. We work for a company called FreeSpee.
Right, and that would be FreeSpee, FreeSpee.com. Not if I'm right, because I'm scared I might got it right. All right, got it right. And we have Mr. Corrado Mella, our token Scot, with us.
Yep, our token stranger and foreigner. Yep.
And Corrado, you should really lead the session because you arranged it, even though these folks came up. Well, I'm really happy that we met you at Kamailio World. Kamailio World, Kerchunk. For next year, I hear you're going to present, by the way. Is that true? Did you arrange something with Daniel?
Maybe.
Oh. Okay.
Actually, we do have a tiny little presentation ready, but we might actually do a dangerous demo. But we're working on it. We'll see.
Okay, so you have a whole year to work on it. Corrado, you may want to. Corrado, you may want to lead this session or not. You let me know.
Well, to be fair, as you might imagine, I just jumped in at the last minute now because I'm literally swamped with work. And I must admit, I just gave a very cursory look at the products that you guys developed. But as VUC, Visions Under Construction, we are more interested in the background story, how you got there, why you chose your path, and why you work for that company. What without putting out too much, what is the ethos of the company? Why you support the products that you support? What are they bringing in positively to the community, to the businesses, and so on, rather than just a technical or a commercial spiel. We're interested in the human side of technology because it's where everything goes back at the end.
Okay, great. So I can start. Well, yes.
Please.
I'm a computer networks and telecommunications engineer. So I started actually to work with VoIP during signal processing, mathematics, statistics, and everything around that. Packet loss estimations. Well, it was a bit difficult. Then I got into open source software world, the technologies that were actually built around open source and how they actually help everyone, the community, the open source community helps everyone to achieve their goals. So then I joined the Linux open source community, started working with that. And then it was the transition that everyone after some time moved from virtualization to cloud. So I got to become a cloud engineer and still working with open source, like OpenStack, for example. After some time, I wanted to actually combine these two, the VoIP and the cloud together. And I wanted to work somewhere that I could use the knowledge. To be both a software developer, a system administrator, cloud engineer, VoIP engineer. So that is why I came to FreeSpee. So I got this opportunity to actually build the whole VoIP platform in the cloud and try the new technologies. So usually you get the chance when you join a startup to try new things. Sometimes you fail and it's okay. Most of the time you succeed. And that is the interesting part, right?
Right. Okay, so for diversity reasons, we need to get Daniel to make his statement too before, because apparently, joking. Daniel mentioned that he may have to leave, so let's hear a little bit from you first on your background, Daniel.
Sure, I've had quite a varied background, really. I've sort of gone through very many things. I've been a software developer my whole life and went into consultancy with a networking specialism. IT infrastructure, software development around that. Through that work, I actually transitioned into doing live TV broadcast about the time when broadcast systems were starting to be replaced with IT systems. So I was very valuable to a number of companies with my IT knowledge and how to do the transition and using my software skills to actually develop the missing software pieces. After that, I got married to a Swede and ended up moving to Sweden, needed a job. This one came up, had no clue what they did, went for the interview and thought, yeah, I'd quite like that because I love tinkering. And this job for me is really about tinkering with technology. And with my network communications background, it seemed like the perfect fit. And the further on I go, the more of that kind of tinkering I want to do with systems and developing plugins and modules for those systems to facilitate what everyone else here does more than what I want to do.
Okay, Daniel, you can go now. Will you leave us with that? All right, Corrado, go ahead.
No, well, as we were mentioning, what brought you to join FreeSpee? What you saw in those the products that they do and the main product that they do that fit with your vision of your career, and also why do you believe that the product could change the direction of a business or a community that adopts it?
I would say, well, I do a lot of online shopping myself. And usually when you look at something online and you start calling the shop about it, they don't have any clue what you want to do, what you're calling, why you're calling, and what you're talking about. So that is my personal experience, and I wanted that to get a lot better. I didn't want to talk to everyone in a company just to tell them that I need to buy something. Or when I call somewhere, I didn't want to enter my personal number every time that I call. So what's happening in FreeSpee is that when we want customers to have a better experience when they call. So you don't want to actually talk to an IVR and repeat your question all over again, and then talk to an agent, and then the agent also asks you the same question, and then you enter everything in, and then maybe they actually say, okay, sorry, but I'm not responsible for this. Call another person. And then you have to talk again about the same thing. So this is a bad personal experience, bad customer experience. So we want these buyers and sellers to actually have a really nice flow of conversation so everyone is happy. That is the main reason that actually we are working at FreeSpee. So every individual person can have a very smooth and nice phone conversation or text conversation or like email conversation.
That is exactly one of Randy's bugbears, that you have to go through a stupid IVR and then again through a person that doesn't know where you're coming from and why you're calling and everything else. So you practically join what is the web interface of a card or anything that someone is looking at If you are looking at a product, you can click on a button somewhere and you get connected to an agent that knows what you're looking at.
Exactly. And you know what? Imagine that you need a car, for example. You look at a car and you say, oh, this looks okay. You call them and you ask about a specific model or a specific color of the car, and then you hang up. Maybe you call the next day and you want a test drive of the same car. So you will be directed to maybe to another agent, or which is like normal, or the same agent. But your user journey is also attached to your call. So they know that you are calling for the same car. Probably you need a test drive. Or like if you want to call again the next day after the test drive, they already know that you are the person who did the test drive and you might want to buy it now. That is how you will be treated a lot better, and you don't have to explain everything to the agent. We call it the user journey. So when you call, the agent will know your background, and they won't ask questions, the same questions all over again, and you don't have to answer those anymore. They already know.
Of course, finally, it is going to happen. One question, and depending on your answer, I might poke a hole in your theory. What is the key that you use to recognize a person when he's calling again?
We have a number of ways of doing it, including a fingerprint, session cookies, the number that was allocated to them in the first place, and other
The order number or the card number.
Analytics, yes.
So you're not relying on the caller ID.
No, never.
Okay, that's clever.
Yes, but you know that the thing is that phone numbers are just a piece of this puzzle. You might have an email at like your personal email that you ask about the same product. So if we could actually connect emails to those phone numbers, to those cookies, to your text messages with a different number, then that would be the ideal world. So you don't have to actually think about which platform you're using to contact. They will all be attached to one single account, and you can manage it. That's the thing, yeah.
Okay, I wanted to just comment briefly on something that Corrado answered me, but I'm not sure I understood the answer. Anyway, with regard to what you're talking about right now, there's a lot of concerns about security and tracking, and I wanted to underline the fact that I think that what you folks do has nothing to do with that. In other words, this is a customer relations management idea where this is not tracking random people. This is people who have shown an interest in, they're calling you or they're wanting to be called. And this is important because as soon as you start talking about, Daniel, you mentioned
the C word.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, well, cookies, but you mentioned a word and I can't remember the word. No, it's a profile or the whole fingerprint. Thank you. That's exactly it. Because fingerprint, you know, you have the fonts at your browser and it's complicated.
Yeah.
And it's advanced stuff. But the point is that's often used for malicious purposes. And in this case, I just wanted to make sure that everyone who's listening to this understands this is a totally different thing. This is just trying to help people understand who you are. And it relieves the problem that I constantly have when I try to contact people and they ask me 70 times in a row on the IVR for my ID. And I've had that happen all week because I've been dealing with support and banks. And so this is an important distinction, I think, and I wanted to make sure that everybody followed that.
Yeah, as always, there's a fine threshold between recognizing a person and tracking someone. You recognize someone that is coming to you because they have fingerprints that they present to you again, over and over again. rather than instead putting a cookie and let the cookie sit there, and then that can be used by third parties and everyone else. That is the type of nasty tracking that we are looking at, and that has created so many problems. You don't do that, of course, because
Absolutely
that's
not.
the opposite. That's the other side of the coin. So
actually, cookies have a terrible name because they really were invented just to keep. There's no state in when you're on the web. There is no state, so somebody has to determine if you could never have a conversation without cookies because there's no state. I mean, conversation in the HTTP sense. Anyway.
Yeah.
Rado, where are we? I'm lost.
No. Well, Ala has put forward her own reasons. What are the reasons for your colleague now to work at FreeSpee? Why do you work there? The freedom that they give you, the space to experiment, or just because you like the product or the money?
I don't think
I'm not ever really motivated by money. I do things for the interest factor and for helping other people as well. I get a real kick and a sense of achievement out of facilitating someone else doing something, and also doing something clever or elegant as well, and being able to just walk away knowing, yeah, I made that happen.
Yeah, it's more of the same that happens for me because we born male cannot reproduce and generate offsprings. Sometimes that process of creation of a piece of software or hardware that you do gives you that sense of purpose. I've left something that will leave behind me and beyond me. So that's something that I find valuable. What else can you? What else your product or the products that you have in the pipeline can be used for, rather than just for connecting buyers with sellers? Is there any other application for that you can see?
We have an SDK for mobiles that we're releasing soon to facilitate app-to-app conversations, and also to allow them to plug into the real phone networks, the physical phone networks from their apps, which doesn't necessarily have to come to our platform at all. It's been built so that it completely bypasses the bulk of our platform and can just be done for app-to-app stuff. But it can also come into our platform and be used as endpoints for various things. On top of that, we've been discovering that our data is a real gold mine, and there's so much we can learn from it to help educate other people. And we absolutely do not sell our data, no way. But we do use it for analysis to improve other things and to provide reporting for various people that want to improve their communications in general.
So yeah, the interaction between a buyer and a seller, you have a silo of data that you can analyze and see where there are attrition points and many other problems that usually not just stop people buying, but create a disconnect between the businesses and what really the buyers want. And if the buyer demands an ethos, a different, let me say, etiquette from the company, you can measure that. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes. So that is the thing. A lot of companies if we look at the company's perspective, they want to know if they invest on one ad, like a Google advertisement, like something that people see on the Google website. If they invest on that, they actually can have a profit out of it. So we are also trying to actually close the loop that you advertise a product somewhere on the internet and you actually get a profit out of it. And then the companies would know which website would be the best to actually have the target website to do advertisement on that website. So closing the loop from advertising a product until selling it is also part of the FreeSpee's mission. So a company would know that their buyers are coming mostly from a specific country, or if they are coming looking for a specific color of a product or a specific brand. So they would actually know to do how to actually have a better investment so they could get more profit out of it as well. So it's not just helping to actually helping the sellers and buyers having a better conversation. It also helps the seller to actually have a better profit out of this.
Yeah, profits that come from a better acceptance by the buyers, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah. You mentioned that you have some slides that you would like to show and we video. If you are ready, if you are willing to share.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you have a really nice knowledge now, background about us and FreeSpee. I could just go through them really fast. I will share my entire screen with you because I can't share just Keynote now, and we'll see.
Perfect.
Yes, there we go. So FreeSpee, you all know about it. So the first mission would be the kill the IVR. So what we do is that we add segmentation before a call happens. So when a call happens, we know that the caller connects to the correct agent. And we do that by also predictive call routing. And if a call happens and if it's missed or anything that the agent couldn't handle it, we can easily recover the call, send them notifications, messages, or actually ask them if they want to be called back. So that is also a better user experience. So you will feel more comfortable. Well, the dynamic numbers, we also talked about it. So you call a number, which is also attached to a cookie and everything in a specific ad, and you will directly be connected to the correct agent, and they know what you want, so you don't have to explain. We do use machine learning, and well, I know it's not really advanced, but we are getting there, getting data sets from our own callers by converting the transcriptions from speech to text and categorizing every call. So we will have a better view of what they actually need when they call. FreeSpee works in the enterprise level. We usually have like almost 15 million calls per month, which are all handled in our platform, in the voice platform, which is open source. We use Kamailio, Asterisk, and FreeSwitch to handle that. And we are active in 65 countries. And the reason that I mentioned this is that like it's a worldwide, but we are using cloud to make that happen. So that is a good thing. We don't have to have hardware everywhere. And this is a demo that I would like to show you how it works. So it's like so simple. Just this is the agent, and then they see, oh, there is a call. Someone is calling me with a user journey. They want a test drive. They wanted a test drive, and they looked at the order page 3 minutes ago. So probably they want to buy it now. So Paul actually gets really, really anxious to get the call being answered. So he picks up the call and he knows already that someone is calling for the same model and they're going to buy it. So, and then he can actually give feedback how and mark the call. Oh, it was a successful purchase, and they can add some notes to it for the future and just mark it. So that's it. A really simple call. And yes, what we want to do, like as the in future, the visions are like improving customer conversation. We talked about it. Carrier network agnostic is like we want to believe that in future conversations will actually take place outside of telephony networks. That it will be like voice over IP. So it does have some struggles. So we have to be prepared for that. And we know that telephone numbers are just one piece of this puzzle. So you have to integrate it with multiple conversation platforms to make it happen.
Ala, before you leave the slide deck, oh, okay. What? Yeah, I was just going to ask you to go back to the very first slide. I have some.
Yes.
I had some questions.
Which one?
The very first slide with the bullet points. The rest is all obvious. Can you represent that very first?
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Because I think this needs a little bit further explanation. You go ahead and put that on full screen. Well, it doesn't even matter. We can see there you go. I think we spoke of persona mapping a little bit, but a little more on predictive call routing. Let's talk about that a little bit. Can you give a little bit more detail on that? Because you and I think talked, or maybe it was Daniel, but what we were talking about was the problems that one has with the context of a phone call when you're talking to somebody, when you call and they don't know why you're calling and so on. I think the example given was the Outlook calendar. I don't know if you remember that or who I was talking to, one of you. But anyway, predictive call routing. Tell us a little bit more about that. Expand on that a little bit, please.
It's kind of a catch-all term, really, because it covers a lot of things. But in essence, what we do, and the mainstay of killing IVRs for us, is we look at the user's journey on a website, because by looking at that, you can establish what they probably want, and therefore you can work out where they probably need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So to give an example, if I was going to BMW's website and I was looking at a specific car, before I clicked a contact us button, there's a high degree of likelihood that I wanted to book a test drive. So I would be put through to the sales department to book a test drive when I rang immediately. If I rang back after having done a test drive, there is a high degree of likelihood that I actually probably want to purchase the car. So you put them through to the purchasing department instead. And we can see the whole journey and see that every step of the way for that, where they visited on the website, when, what was the first page they looked at, the last page they looked at, what calls have they made, what was the outcome of each of those calls, and text messages and emails and all that sort of thing, all in this user journey. And all of that information can be fed back into the routing engine so that next time they call, it's updated again. So the chances of getting false positives become less and less as well.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most fascinating aspects of this. And I want to move over the next two as well. I understand what that means, abandonment, recovery notifications, but specifically, just another sentence on that would be interesting. And you can put your, it's outbound activity tracking. You can put your video back on also, so we can see you guys, because I just was curious about those four things.
Okay.
So Daniel or Ala, whoever would like to speak.
Yes.
The abandonment. So that means that I'm not that interested, or what does that mean, and what do you do with it?
Exactly. So imagine that you call someone, like you want to book a meeting or like an appointment, and then you are waiting for like some time, or like the line is busy, you just hang up. You are like, I can't wait anymore, or like, oh, I've been waiting for so long. You are just hanging up. So
or
that
even you're on a mobile phone and you drop it.
oh.
Good point. Yeah.
Yes. So what happens is that you might receive an SMS that tells you we got your call, but would you like to be called back? And you say yes, and then you will get like, which time would you like to be called back? Another SMS, and you can just say I want to be called back in 10 minutes or like in 20 minutes, and you will be called back, so you don't have to call again. Or you could actually receive an email that would you we missed your call. How would you like to handle this? Would you like to call us again? We can call you back. Or I think you can also, if you don't want to call immediately, you can actually say call me. So click to call, like call me back at this time when you're ready. So uh, in that case, you don't have to call again and again. That other person, the agent, will call you back, and it will be a lifesaver.
Yeah, that really sounds good compared to some of the experiences I've had in the last week. It's nice to have a choice, and I think that's excellent. Very interesting.
James, do you have a question? Because
Yeah,
I see you gesticulating.
Yeah, a very, very quick one. I normally save most of my voice calls up until I'm in the car, which is why I know all about dropping out. So is there a way of linking your web surfing experience to your mobile phone number? Because otherwise your surfing history will be disconnected from your mobile identity, which is a kind of possibly a bit of a problem.
If you've called the number that you got on the web page from your phone, yes. Or if you visit the web page from your phone, yes. And there are also other ways we can do it that we're working
All
on.
right. Well, how dynamic is that dynamic number? Is it a number that when it appears on the web screen, if you then note it down and then sprint into your car and 15 minutes later make a phone call, will it still be valid?
That number is valid for you for up to 6 months.
Oh, 6 months. That's absolutely brilliant.
And if it continues to be used, then you will keep it.
Okay. And just out of interest, how many numbers do you have in your pool?
You probably know that more than I do.
Oh, thousands.
Yeah,
I
thousands.
know that, thousands.
Well, as far as I know, the minimum number of numbers, pool number you can get is 1,000 in the UK. So I don't know other countries, and to be allocated that is not that expensive. Although in some areas in the UK there's a bit of shortage, so it may be a little more expensive. But buying or getting allocated by Ofcom a range of 1,000 numbers is quite a trivial cost and procedure. So it's interesting. But are you using standard landline numbers, or are you tapping into the 05, 08,
We can offer
03?
any numbers.
Okay. So it depends on the end user, your client that is installing on their systems. They choose the range. They could be their own local area if they want, or a generic nationwide number or something. Okay, so you're not supplying the numbers yourself.
We have the number banks. They choose from our bank of numbers what they want. But we also offer a bring your own telco solution.
Okay. Well, really flexible. Yeah. I had one question, but James distracted my attention, and at my age, my attention span is a bit short, so I no longer remember it. However, I think at the moment we squeezed almost everything we could from you without you leaking too much information that could be a secret source of your own technical things. what do you see in the future that could be added to the product, or that you personally think it should be in?
We're already working on other lanes of conversation, like embedding chat messages, for example. And we do email, and we do phone, and we do SMS, and so we're looking at that sort of thing. And any kind of input that we can get is beneficial to our customers, especially if it's one that they're using. So that's quite important to us. But we're also working on other ways of being able to improve the customers' overall satisfaction levels anyway, like our new Q bot that will be launched. Well, I say it'll be launched. I haven't even shown it to anyone yet.
Maybe we should talk about it.
Yeah. Basically, it's an in-call Google Assistant, more or less, which can field a lot of calls and take the responsibility away from your agents, and can be on 24 hours a day, and can answer calls specific to the vertical market that you are in. And so that is another thing that we're looking to replace IVR with ultimately.
Okay, so is that a kind of a first level filter to make sure that you've got everything right before you hand off to a real live person?
Not just that. It starts off as a first level filter, but it sits in the waiting queue for the whole duration of your wait for an agent, and you can interact with it in that period.
Yeah, this brings back memories of some things we've talked about in the past, which is activities that you can undertake whilst you're in the wait queue. So,
Yeah.
for example, playing a quiz game, and if you get the answers right, you move up the queue. If you get it wrong, you go down to the bottom.
That is a nice idea.
It's already taken. Somebody has already done it.
Yeah, well,
But and another little technical question. I hope you are using WebRTC if someone
Yes.
has a web RTC capable browser, so you can establish the communication directly without the presence of a mobile phone or a phone or a desk phone. Yeah.
Yes. But you know that there are a lot of struggles when you actually want to encourage companies to move away from hard phones to soft phones. So I think that is one part of the vision, that we have to actually encourage more companies to start using soft phones instead of those hard IP phones, or maybe have the IP phones that are compatible with our WebRTC software. So then in that case, more companies and more people will be engaged in this.
And I see a synergy with one of the sponsors and presenters at Kamailio World, Poly, that has the open API that you can program the phones to do.
And I've requested one of those phones to get our solutions working on it.
Yes, Daniel will get one soon.
I have to say, just for equanimity, that Snom was doing that for a number of years. You can program whatever you want on the screen of a graphic display like the Series 8 or the Series 7, more bigger screens. You can program most of the output on that too, and that has been going on for a few years. But it's probably a little more complicated than what I've seen done on the OBI compatible Polycom or Poly phones, as we must call them now.
The Poly looks to be a fairly good fit for what we're doing.
Yeah,
what I've seen.
Although yes, it's a hybrid where you practically use the screen as if it was the screen of the computer. And as Ala was saying, it would be much better if the company using your services and using your software had a soft phone on the screen, so everything lives in the same realm, in the same domain, and it's much easier to interface.
Yes, we actually provide the app, right? The WebRTC app that we have, Talk. So they can just install it on their computer, and then all the agents, they don't need any phones after that. But the Talk app that is installed on the agents' computers, they will actually know about the queue, a number of agents available in that group, and then you just need a pair of headsets to answer the call, and that's it with your laptop. Because then it will be a lot easier for the agents actually to use the soft phone app, the WebRTC app that is provided, so you don't have to have a phone or actually use the phone. You can just type everything, your notes, action buttons, and look at the website. So I think it will be really easier for them to use the Talk app instead of a phone to answer.
Yeah, there's a bit of resistance to move away from the habit of a handset and a phone, because it's literally muscle memory is in that. James had another question, probably.
Yeah, do you support video calling as well as just voice?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But do you plan to?
We've discussed it. I don't think it's on the roadmap right now, but we have discussed it.
Okay, and just out of
Customer asked for it.
yeah, just out of interest, what sort of proportion of your traffic comes in as WebRTC versus conventional telephony?
It's tiny, because we only have a handful of customers using WebRTC right now.
Okay, so the bulk of your traffic comes in over PSTN.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you do SIP VoIP as well, or?
Yeah.
Yes.
But is that publicly accessible, or is it hidden away?
It's hidden.
It's hidden.
What a shame. What a shame. We can probably work it out, though.
But you know what? We can actually prepare a demo for you soon, and if you want to try it out. So maybe we weren't prepared for a demo now, but maybe in another session very soon, we could actually have a demo available for all of you, so we can actually try it out and see how it goes.
Well, this is part of the fun, when you actually have all the live listeners on the VUC joining in from strange places around the world, joining in on a live demo. You never know what's going to happen.
Yes.
Well,
very dangerous.
We don't know, but
so you'll have to invite us back next time
yes.
for that, because I can't quite get it working right now. It's a true dangerous demo.
Yes.
Well, don't burn yourself with that, and don't waste the opportunity for a dangerous demo at the next meeting. That could be Kamailio World next year, but could also be something earlier, because there are a number of other occasions where we meet, and you could come. And if James is there, if James is at a meeting, yeah, there will be a dangerous demo. He's the dangerous demo man. He's the dangerous man.
Yeah, we will be prepared next time.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Dan Jenkins has told me that I'm not allowed to do dangerous demos at ComCon. So you're safe if you come to ComCon. At least you think you are.
Are you coming to ComCon?
Don't know.
We don't know yet.
So there's a possibility.
Yes, there might be.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, just out of interest, again, another random question. As first-time visitors to Kamailio World, what did you find the most interesting bit?
Dangerous demos, obviously.
I think like the whole conference was really interesting.
I don't think there was a session that I didn't get something out of.
Yes.
Good value for money. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
And that includes the jelly babies.
And I think yes, I also had them, and they were really good because my flight was delayed. Yeah, we were waiting for a very long time, and those jelly bellies really helped. Yes.
Oh, look, they live.
Still here.
Oh.
Oh, that's the one for photographing. Don't eat that one.
Well, there were a couple.
I think knowing the people is also really important in the community. So you have this network of people that you can discuss matters, mostly similar issues that everyone is actually struggling with, and you have different solutions that you can compare. So I think the networking is also a really good part about it. The sessions, everything were actually great. I think most of it we could understand most of the parts, and we got something out of it. So yes, it was great.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, well, normally I come away from Kamailio World full of new ridiculous ideas, and then we go and build them.
But that's what we do, you know, these ridiculous ideas come out and they actually change the world, right?
Yes.
It's good to have them.
Yeah, indeed. And I'm thinking that perhaps one of the things that you might like to look at next is very close integration with the mobile network core, using the mobile network core to harvest information, in particular persona, fingerprinting type information, because there's a heck of a lot of information you can pick up from the mobile signaling.
Yeah.
Which could be useful, and particularly if you can tie that in with the web browsing persona, the whole thing starts to get incredibly powerful then.
It's something worth looking at.
Let's remind people of the fact that they can go to FreeSpee, FreeSpee.com to check this out. This is a pretty vast organization. So, you know, you'll have to look it over and go through a lot of, you know, when I looked at it, I wasn't sure where to find you folks, but you are a part of it.
It's a very corporate website.
Yeah, it is, isn't
Yeah.
it? But you're a part of it. And I don't know, do you want to, is there any particular contact info you would like to give? Because you're in a very focused area compared to the larger organization. Anything, Daniel or Allah, that needs to be said as far as contacting you? Because you're doing a specific thing. Or they just go to the site and go to the contact.
Now, you know what? Some of our services, actually most of them, are also used in the website. So you can chat, you can click, you can ask to get a call back, you can actually experience how the flow works. But a lot of people use this platform without even knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because like in the car industry, you have multiple dealers in different cities, in different countries across the world, and they don't even know that they use FreeSpee.
Right, for sure. Corrado, I'm sorry, go ahead. You wanted to say something? You weren't done?
Yeah, I'll leave it. Is there a FreeSpee that you can try before you buy?
Well, that's a good point. Is there any way to, I guess, contact the people?
Which
FreeSpee.
A free version that you can try.
Yeah,
The test developer version, which is what we all love to play with.
I think the SDK for mobile phones that we are working on is due to have something fairly soon released for developers to play with.
Yeah, well, because that would be an incredibly useful thing, and I'm sure that you would get quite a bit of interest from the community. People like the ComCon, the Free Switch, the ClueCon type people would all be delighted to give it a go. And you never know what would end up coming out of it.
They might cobble up something that you never thought of. That's what happens when you open up your applications to the world. Do you plan to go to other conferences in the sector in the future, and you will be present there, and we could possibly meet you?
Personally, yes. I want to be much more active in the community. As to how much we can do is really quite dependent on the company. So we have to have conversations.
Yes.
Well, that begs another question. Are there any other bits and pieces that you've been able to feed back into the open source community?
I am fairly soon going to be contributing a number of FreeSwitch modules back to the community.
FreeSwitch?
Yeah.
What sort of thing are you doing in FreeSwitch?
I have made some Amazon integrations, performance metrics, statistics collection, that sort of stuff.
But when you say Amazon, what flavor of Amazon?
Amazon Web Services, AWS. So, for example, you could actually pull your dial plan directly from a Lambda function.
Okay. Well, that could be of use to a number of people, I think.
Yes.
It's of use to me, so.
We are all using it, so probably a lot of others can use it.
Yes.
Yes. But
You have done anything on the open source recently, or has your attention been and life been consumed all from?
I think no. Since I started using Amazon Cloud, I haven't given back anything to the community.
So we'll take with you.
Yes. But before that, I actually tried to participate in the community, in the cloud community. But we started 2 years ago, I think, 2.5 years ago at FreeSpee. And we were a very small company at the time, a startup which was fast growing, but we were only 10 engineers at the time. And we grew up during the years, and we actually didn't get the time to contribute and do a lot of other projects as well. But now we feel that we are in a very good place, a very stable place in our engineering team, and we have this time to actually contribute more in conferences, in communities like open source communities, and it's time to actually participate in giving back.
Yeah, on the subject of other conferences, there's always ClueCon. So Daniel, if you're very much into free switch, ClueCon is without a doubt the place to be.
Yeah, I've been considering it, but I haven't asked to go yet.
Yeah,
And it's far and expensive.
Yeah, the only drawback is it is Chicago, and it is in August. So in terms of expense, it's just a little bit more expensive than Berlin.
or somewhere in England where IP, whatever it is happening. Anyway, thank you to both of you, Ala and Daniel. Thanks for joining us. It was a great pleasure to meet you. Honestly, when you came up, I'm so happy that you came up and talked to us after the panel. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us. We hope we see you guys again.
I think that definitely happened. James, don't you think?
It's one of the most exciting bits of Kamailio World is meeting new people that you haven't met before.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Widening the net.
Pain in the neck, did you say?
Widening the net, because you never know. You pull a string, the net moves around, and new people come out, and you widen your communications, you open your channels, and all of a sudden a new idea pops up. Two minds meet each other. Well, that could be done. Why not? If you keep your own information in your own silo, you might grow it, but it doesn't expand to a business case or a business model, etc. So meeting people is always important. That's right. And it's always great to have new people. Again, thank you both. We'll see you soon, I hope.
Yes.
Thank you.
All righty.